All right, Jill next.
So Avi, I get a little bit pissed off when you throw the entire scientific culture under the bus, because some of us have been thinking about and building instruments to find anomalies for a very long time. And I think that when we say that if we ever are going to announce such a detection, that we require extraordinary evidence, we're doing that as a way of differentiating ourselves from the pseudoscience that is so much a part of popular culture with UFOs and all kinds of claims of things that people have detected. So
okay.
I wouldn't be so hard on the whole culture, Abby.
Well, let me explain. To your first point, I'm talking about a factor of 1,000 in funding. I'm not talking about a factor of 2 over a decade increase in funding. I'm saying there is a discrepancy by a factor of 1,000 in what needs to be the case relative to what is the case of the community that you are talking about. A factor of 1,000 is a big factor in funding. And moreover, it's even a bigger factor in bullying, because anyone that makes a suggestion in the direction of technological signature is being bullied and ridiculed.
I don't.
Wait a second. Let me finish. Now, my second point, which is very important, is in the Dark Ages, people used to say that the human body should not be dissected. There shouldn't be operations because it has magical powers, because there is a soul. Now think about it. If scientists were to say, we don't want to discuss the human body until there are extraordinary evidence for something, we don't want to discuss it because of all this nonsense being said about the human body, where would modern medicine be? I say, science has an obligation to focus on problems that are of interest to the public and use the scientific method to resolve them. And rather than say, we need extraordinary evidence and then step on the grass and not allow it to grow, which is currently the case. We need extraordinary evidence, but anyone that mentions this possibility is ridiculed by some blogger that doesn't even write a single paper in a decade. That makes no sense whatsoever. This blogger should first practice science.
Well, some of us do.
No, let me finish. How dare people make statements about scientists that explore these possibilities within the scientific method? That's the acidic culture that I'm talking about. There is an acidic culture that suppresses innovation in the current culture of science. And the best example is SETI, because they say we need extraordinary evidence, and then they don't let people search for that extraordinary evidence by a factor of 1,000. I'm not talking about a small group of people at Berkeley or at the SETI Institute doing some work. That I'm talking about a factor of 1,000 increase in your budget, in the budget of the community, and a factor of 100 more people working on it, not at the SETI Institute, but everywhere, in every university. This becoming a mainstream subject, just like string theory is. Why should we fund searches for dark matter and not for technological civilizations as part of the mainstream? That's my argument. And I find it really surprising that I get opposition from you to that notion.
I really don't like the generalization of the whole culture being bad mouth.
Okay.
And yeah, sure, I'd love our budget to be 1,000 times.
Okay, so why are you opposing me? Why don't you join me in arguing for 1,000 times more budget?
But Avi, I've been doing that for 40 years. All right, we've been arguing.
You are arguing with me about the credit of who gets credit for arguing that, rather than saying I endorse your view. Why don't you say I endorse your view instead of saying, oh, I've been doing it, why are you doing it now? Why do you say that? Why don't you join forces with me and go for it, rather than say, actually, I said it 40 years ago, you're saying it now, I want credit for that, you don't get credit. Who cares? Like, we are trying to promote a common cause, and you're arguing with me about credit. I just don't understand it.
I think the culture as a whole shouldn't be bad-mouthed. That's what I'm saying. I think that you're being too sweeping in your condemnation.
Okay, factor of 1,000 is too sweeping. Okay, fine.
Okay.